All right, Rough State Athletics, this week in the Powerlifting for Aesthetics series, I'm talking to you about programming. So as our name states, we are utilizing powerlifting for aesthetics. So we're going to be utilizing the big three lifts, the squat, the bench, the deadlift, and we're going to be chasing down an aesthetic look. Most of our programming revolves around those three lifts to some capacity. Something that we get asked a lot about when people see the programs that we send them for Powerlifting for Aesthetics is, why do I have all these different variations? I thought I was going to be squatting, benching, and deadlifting. Well, not always. We utilize variations of the squat, variations of the bench press, variations of the deadlift. We utilize that for specific reasons. Now, when we look at squatting, for instance, a good squat is going to be fairly upright, but if we have a person who's not good at upright squatting, we're going to push things to help drive that upright squat. That way we're not just practicing the squat with bad form. Instead, we're going to do things like front squatting, pause squatting, and eccentric tempo squats, where we're focusing on teaching the person how to move well and also building musculature to help drive that motion. When we look at the bench press, if someone isn't good at controlling that bottom position, well, we're going to do variations that drive them to be able to control that bottom position. Same thing with the deadlift. When we're looking at that position, if you're not good at driving up off the floor and you get pulled forward a lot, well, then we can utilize a tempo deadlift, or we can use a pause off the floor deadlift. Looking at where do you struggle and pushing the variations of that. Instead of just constantly driving the same motion, we can utilize variations to push the effect that we're after. You see this a lot with programming where we're trying to work on variations and someone doesn't think that it's going to transfer that well, and they go and crush a PR because they've been practicing and working on those weak points, and then when they get back to the normal lift, it's just so much easier. This is very notoriously seen where someone works on the front squat a lot, and then they come back to their high bar or low bar squat, and they're able to use their quads way better, and they're able to accelerate up out of the hole instead of getting tipped over. Great example of this is when I'm looking at the deadlift. A lot of people struggle with breaking that floor, as I was talking about, and I know last week I talked about the tempo deadlift, but another great variation is the pause off floor, where I set up, and as soon as I break the floor, I pause. If I get pulled forward before that pause or during the pause, I'm going to feel it, and I have to drive and work hard to stay nice and even on my foot pressure and utilizing my legs better. So I can get here, I can push, use my legs, and finish that lift. Now, as I do this, a great advantage is it also keeps more time under tension on the lift. And so now I'm also able to utilize that for a better hypertrophy effect. So when we're looking at the programming and why do we use a lot of variations, it's because we're trying to chase down that aesthetic look by working on weak points. If someone has a struggle at breaking the bar off their chest, well, we're going to work on their pecs, we're going to work on their shoulders, because that lockout position where the triceps are taking over, they're not losing that position. Whereas, in contrast, if someone can accelerate that bar off their chest really fast, then the lockout is a battle, then we're going to utilize variations to work on that. So that's why with the Powerlifting for Aesthetics model, yes, we are squatting, we're benching, we're deadlifting, but only at certain points are we just doing the conventional squat, the conventional bench press, and the conventional deadlift. Instead, we're working on variations to help work on weak points and develop you as a better athlete. So that's it for this week on the Powerlifting for Aesthetics series. Just a quick demonstration and explanation of why we use a lot of variations in the movements, and we'll catch you guys next week for another video tutorial.